Hello everyone. Today's poem is Shao Xin, a Shao Wind from the Book of Songs. This is a special poem from the first glance with two paragraphs. So basically, the two paragraph structure in the stage wind means something abnormal, something negative, something not correct. So this poem is quite sure the mood, the feelings is a very negative feeling, something not went well or some misfortunes whatsoever. The second thing, this poem has a lot of arguments through the history, but actually the wording is quite simple and straightforward. The problems is with some of the key words, how to interpret it, how to decipher it. First thing first, 3, 3, 5. So we know the numbering, different numberings has a lot of significance in the classic Chinese philosophy. Let's see 1, 2, 3. So in ancient time, 1 normally refers to the very original world that without heaven, without earth, it's sort of a mass. So that was referred as the 1. And later on, the heaven and the earth separated. That was referred as 2. And later on, all the creatures, the landscape, the rivers, was created by the heaven and earth together. So that status was so-called as 3. And this is the most famous sentence from 道德经 by Lao Tzu. So you can see that the figures has some of the very special meanings. And here, everybody is very sure 3, 5 together refers something quite special and important. From today's perspective, most of the people will think 3, 5 refers to the mandate of heaven, because the 3 refers to the very first emperors who started the Chinese civilizations, namely 燧人、伏羲、神农. So they started the Chinese civilization, and later on there is 5 kings. They are so important in the Chinese history. So all the 8 legendary emperor and kings, they are so-called as 3, 5, 3, 5. But anyhow, this explanation does not apply to this poem, because in the context of this poem, the 8 legendary figures has passed away for quite a long time. And in this poem, the 3, 5 is something in the East at the moment. And the second explanation for 3, 5 is the stars. So most popular explanations is the 5 refers to the 5 planets, 金木水火土. In English, I cannot figure out all it in the English. So Venus, Mars, sort of the 5 planets. So that 5 planets has a great significance to the ancient Chinese because that 5 planets, the movement, the tracks of that 5 planets, they indicate the mandate of heaven, the fate of this king, of this country. And the 3 refers to the heaven, the earth, and the people in the middle. So totally, the 3, 5 refers to the universe plus the fortune of this universe. But here in this poem, it doesn't apply as well. With some of the research by myself, I had this map of stars, and 3 refers to the Tristars, and normally was written as Can, but in the ancient time, Can and 3 means the same and spells the same, and 5 refers to the stela of Wuche. So in the ancient time, this Tristar and the Wuche stellar, they belongs to the west, west space. So the ancient Chinese divided the whole heaven into 5 areas: east, south, west, and north, plus the central. Central was the represents the king, the palace, the capital, and the other 4 represents 4 seasons. The west space in the heaven refers to the autumn season, and which has another name, which was so-called white tiger, 白虎. And the season of autumn is a time of killing, a time of war. And apparently this poem was talking about a war. So with this explanation, the Tristars, even it's a small portion of the vast space, but these Tristars normally resemble the vast space, the white tiger, and as well it represents the time of war. The 5 stars, 五车, resemble the chariot for the king. So it has double meanings. First thing first, something of a king, of an emperor, something associated with the chariot, the war. So here, when we look at the sentence in this poem, 三五在东, with this implication, with this explanation, it tells us a very, very clear situation that it's something in the autumn time. You can see the screenshot from a software, a very nice software, Stellarium. You can use that to simulate the star, the heaven, in different time. So this picture is a simulation by me sometime 3,000 years ago, or 1000 BC. So that's the time in the West Zhou dynasty. Secondly, because it's the autumn season, it's the time to have a war. The war is not to conquer the land. The war is to do some of the punishment to someone not obey the order from the king. So normally that's the main purpose in the Zhou dynasty, not like in the later generations. So the third thing is because the 5 stars, 五车, the stela of 5 stars, 五车, is the resemble the chariots for the king. So which means have a strong implication or metaphor that the king was in the east. So this war happened in the east to the capital. So it's something in Henan province today, or in Shandong province, or maybe in the Jiangsu province, Anhui province, so southeast, a little bit southeast. But anyhow, the main direction is to the east of the capital. So with this understanding to the key character 3, 5, this poem is so simple, very straightforward. Let's see. 惠比小星35在东 The little star twinkles. The 3-5 was in the east direction. So we have explained what does the 3-5 means. 三五在东. It means it's the time of a war, and the king was also in this troop in the east. Okay, the second pair of sentence. 速速萧征，夙夜在公. So we make the march at the night very, very seriously, strictly, and we are fulfill our duty day and night. The last sentence, 使命不同. This mandate, this order from the king doesn't coordinate among all our people. So the first paragraph gave us a very, very straightforward picture. There's a bunch of people, troops, they were marching in the east, and the king was in this troop. And this guy, the poet, was looking to the east, watching the 3 Tristars and the 5 stars, and he signs, this war is not good. This mandate, this order from the heaven, from the king, is not good, because the generals, the soldiers, were not coordinated well, 不同. And there's also a very, very interesting explanation about 同 in the 易经. So you can, if you have the time, you can check the explanation of that part. 同 is one of the 64 items in the 易经, and 同 in that items, it's mainly talk about the war, the situation, the result of a war. If the symptom or the outcome of a fortune teller is 同, it's a good sign to a war, which means you will win the war. But in this poem, it tells us very clearly, 使命不同. This order, this mandate, this war will not have a good result. The second paragraph. 惠比小星，为参羽毛. The little stars twinkle and twinkle. They shining all the time. And the Tristars and the Mao stars, they are in the middle of the heaven. So this actually is telling us exactly the date. So when the Mao stars was in the middle of the heaven, which is the winter solstice day. So in the Zhou dynasty, the winter solstice day means the year end, and a new year starts after the winter solstice day. So here we can see that why this poet was not so happy and he feels so unfortunate. They are having a war in the New Year's Day, right? He was marching far, far away from his hometown, from the capital, in the east direction. And it's just like in the Spring Festival. Today, you are working for a Chinese. We are working some hard work in the Antarctic with no families, with no relatives, and very likely you 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 would lose your life anytime. Okay, let's see the next pair of sentences. 萧萧肃征，报亲于仇. So we are marching in at the night, very seriously, very silently, and I hold the quilt and the curtains with me. Be careful, the quilt, the character quilt in Chinese, 亲, refers to the quilt in the coffin for the dead. And 仇 refers to the curtain, and very likely the curtain to surround the coffin. So the second pair of sentences has a very, very negative mood and sadness behind. They are far away from their hometown. They have a war with their king, with the king of Zhou. But the poet thinks this is a very unlucky behavior, and the result would be a very, very negative and bad result. He even take the staffs for the dead people, which means he prepared himself, or maybe he prepared for the king to die at any time during this war. Thus, the quilt, the curtains for the dead could be used right away. A troop was going to have a battle, have a war with other party. But before the battle started, the poet who was in the troop, or maybe someone else, they all felt so negatively, and nobody believed they can survive this battle. But on the other side, the war was launched by their king, or even by themselves. So what a conflict, what a situation it could be. That's the curse from the heaven, right? They know they are going to die, and they know the result is so bad for them, even for the king. But they had to do this because the order, the mandate is from heaven, the mandate is from the king, or something made them, they had to do this. They had to go to the battlefield. So the last sentence is quite something conclusion of the whole poem. 是命不由. this mandate of heaven, this mandate of the king won't make it. 不由 means to sacrifice or to planning. 不由 means this war will not be sacrificed to, which means they will lose the war, right? If they win the war, they will have a big sacrifice after this war. What a sad and depression poem this is. Okay, that's for today. Bye bye.